failure is not the end of your influence as a dad. It's often the moments where your kids decide whether or not they can really trust you. Because when you blow it, and trust me, you will, the question is not, did I fail? The question you really have to ask yourself is, what do I do next? Hi, I'm Dan Hayden, and this is the Positive Legacy Podcast for Christian Fathers. This week's episode is titled, When You Blow It, Repair, Confession, and Starting Again. And this week, we're talking about that next step. And I want to do three things for you. I want to normalize failure. You see, calm and steady is a direction. It's a trajectory. It's not a scorecard. Another thing I want to do with you in this episode is walk you through how to apologize well with your wife, with your kids, and even at work. And finally, I want to show you how using your sage can deepen that trust after a blowup instead of destroying it. If you've been listening to this recent series, you've heard me talk a lot about being a calm and steady leader. But here's the part we need to say out loud. Calm and steady is not a permanent status. It's a direction. It's a trajectory. And it's certainly not something that you can achieve with absolute perfection. But your saboteurs want you to turn it into a scorecard. They'll have you believe things like, a calm dad wouldn't have reacted that way. A steady leader wouldn't have flown off the handle in that meeting. And here's something I'm sure my kids think about all the time. Hey, you're the one with the calm and steady podcast. You, of all people, shouldn't be acting that way. And that's our judge, plain and simple. And if you listen to those voices, you're either going to defend yourself or you're going to drown in shame. Your sage looks at that exact moment and it says, this is all just part of the journey. Where is the gift or the opportunity in all of this? Where can I get better? Where can I repair? The goal is not to never blow it. The goal is to shrink that time from blow up to that repair. That is spiritual and emotional maturity. Let me give you a real example from my own home. And I think I shared this with you probably about a month or so ago. We have a rule with our kids. Don't start the week with dirty laundry on the floor or in the bathroom. That sounds simple, right? Now in all of the other real life factors, car repair, water heater on the fritz, finance stuff just kind of piling up, real life stress, honest to goodness anxiety. And that was a backdrop for one particular weekend. I walked upstairs and I looked around, clothes on the floor, bathroom was a disaster, Nerf bullets everywhere. And I just lost it. That's it. Everybody, devices away, clean this place up now. You know what I want. And that was the rupture. And if you pause the movie right there and you ask yourself, what is it like to be around dad? The answer certainly was not calm and steady. But here's where positive intelligence kicks in. A little bit later, when my nervous system cooled off and my sage came back online, I realized my reaction was more about my stress than it was about their behavior. And I had a choice. I could just let my pride and the judge say, they deserved it. Time to move on. Or I could practice repair. In the coaching I do with the men in my community, I talk about the empathize, navigate, and explore sage powers as the first powers that we want to look at when something goes wrong. Those are the same powers that you need when it comes time to repair. And I use a simple 3-step framework with my family and at work. And you guessed it. Name what happened, own my part, and reconnect emotionally. Let me walk you through how that played out. I named what happened. I pulled the kids together later on and I said something like, hey, I want to talk to you about what happened earlier when I came upstairs and just completely lost my mind about your rooms. No spin, no downplaying. I just named it. And then I started to own my part. Hey, we've had a lot going on lately. Some money stuff, some car stuff, just general home stuff. You guys all know that. But my reaction was unfair to you. And it's unfair to your mom. And it's not how I want to handle things. Notice there was no but. Notice I didn't say something like, if you had just done your part and cleaned it, I wouldn't have yelled. That would have been the judge trying to sneak back in. Instead, I tapped into the sage power of empathize and turned it inward. I see my own humanity. I see my stress. I'm not going to beat myself up about this, but I am going to own my impact. Then I close the loop. Hey, I want you to know that I'm not mad at you. We're carrying a lot right now, and I let it spill over. Our relationship matters a lot more than just some dirty clothes and socks on the floor. And you could just feel the tension lower. You could see it in their faces. They just let the anxiety go. And a couple of them even said, hey, Dad, we get it. It's okay. And only after that did I add a little truth back in there. Thanks, kids, but I still expect your room and the bathroom to be clean the next time I come upstairs. That part hasn't changed. Grace first, then truth. That's sage navigate, holding to values without sacrificing connection. And you know what they did? They got it done. They stood up and they started working amongst each other to figure out whose was whose and who's responsible, whose socks are those. No drama, no sulking, just movement. The blow up didn't destroy trust, and the repair actually deepened it because what they learned wasn't dad is perfect. What they did learn, though, was dad can come back. Repair with your wife follows the same pattern, except the stakes feel a little bit higher sometimes. Let's just say you come in hot after work, you snap at her for something small, and then things just get real quiet. Your saboteurs are going to tell you she's just overreacting. They're going to push you to just let it blow over. They're going to put words in your head like, yeah, if she only knew the kind of day I had. But if you want a Christ centered marriage, you cannot outsource repair to time. You have to go back with empathize, explore, and navigate again. It might sound like this. Hey, I was thinking about before when I walked in and I snapped at you about the dishes. That landed hard. I could see it on your face. That wasn't about you. That was about me. That was about me bringing home all my work stress and just dumping it into the kitchen. I'm sorry. You did not deserve that tone. I don't want you walking on eggshells around me. Our relationship means more than any of this. Then, and only then, if there's something more you need to talk through, you can say something like, hey, can we talk later about the load we're both carrying? I want us to feel like a team. You're not groveling, you're leading with humility. And that is spiritual leadership in your house. You can apply the same pattern at work too. Let me share a story with you from the last job that I ever had in the Army. It was my first day in the office. It was my first day meeting this team. And we had a staff meeting planned, except I never really gave them my expectations for the meeting. And so when we started the meeting, I immediately knew this is not going to meet my expectations. And I completely lost it on the captain in charge of the meeting. And then I demanded, just keep going. We'll figure this stuff out. And you could just feel the tension. I had become the thermostat. Everybody in that room was tense. Everybody was thinking to themselves, is this a guy I have to work for the next 3 years? And inside, my controller took the wheel. It completely went into attack mode. This is not right. This isn't going to meet my standards. We got to get this place cleaned up ASAP. But as the meeting went on, the tone sort of shifted a little bit. I let my sage take the wheel, and I knew I had to repair. Look, that meeting didn't go well. So when the meeting wrapped up and everybody was running for the doors, I asked them for a few minutes of their time, and I did something no one saw coming. I apologized to them. I apologized to the poor captain who was running the meeting. I made it very clear to them, this one's on me. This was my fault. This meeting did not meet my expectations, and that's on me. How can I possibly expect you to know what it is I want if I don't clearly tell you what I want? It was short, it was direct, and I offered no excuses. I was using Sage Explore to look honestly at my part and navigate to realign with the leader that I wanted to be. And they remembered that. In fact, every time I catch up with that captain, he mentions that first meeting. Hey, sir, remember that first meeting we had together? I thought it was going to be a long 3 years. But here's why repair deepens trust. Sometimes we tend to believe if I never mess up, they'll trust me. But in real relationships, trust is built more in how you handle your failures than how rarely you have them. Your kids, your wife, the folks at work, they already know you're not perfect. But what they're watching for is stuff like, does he understand the impact his words have? Does he care enough to come back? Is he willing to own his part without blaming everyone else? Every time you repair well, you're answering yes to all of those questions. And that does three things. First, it tells them you're safe with me even when I blow it. It also shows them how to handle their own failures with humility and courage. Lastly, it makes your calm and steady more believable because it's grounded in reality, not performance. You're not the dad, husband, or leader who never fails. You're the one who doesn't stay down and doesn't pretend it didn't happen. Let me give you a quick blueprint that you can carry into any repair conversation at home or at work. Just think to yourself, name it, own it, and reconnect. Name it. When I walked away instead of listening, own it. I let my stress run the show. And reconnect. I'm sorry. I love you. And our relationship matters more than that one moment. And if a boundary or an expectation still apply, add it after reconnection. I still need your room picked up and I still need your socks off the floor. That's repair in Sage, short, honest, and relational. Hey, if you're listening and you're thinking, I blow it more times than I'd like, and I just don't know how to come back, you are not alone. This is exactly the kind of work that I do with Christian dads in my coaching program. Quieting your judge and the other saboteurs after a failure, tapping into those sage powers, empathize, navigate, explore, and how they can help you repair and reconnect, and practicing real world repair conversations until they become natural, until they become second nature. If you want support turning all of this into good idea to your new default, hop on a call. Check the show notes to get an appointment with me. We'll take a look at things like when you tend to blow up or shut down, what repair could look like at home or at work, and whether my coaching program is the right next step for you. You can grab some time on my calendar by using the link in the show notes. As you head into this week, remember, you're not disqualified when you blow it. You're being invited to empathize with the people that you hurt and yourself, invited to explore what really happened, invited to navigate back towards the man that you are called to be. Stay rooted in grace, stay steady in mind and spirit, and keep building your positive legacy one honest repair at a time. And this week, with whom or about what do you already know you need to have a repair conversation? Give it a thought and get to it. Talk to you again next week.